And now, the general weather around Alaska.
There's a winter storm warning out for the Copper River Basin for Wednesday and Wednesday night for heavy snow there. And then there's a high wind warning out for the North Gulf Coast for strong winds out of the east and southeast up to possibly gusting to 80 miles an hour. Again, that's same time frame Wednesday and Wednesday night. And there's also a high wind warning out for Prince of Wales Island for winds gusting up to 65 miles per hour. And that's also out for Wednesday and Wednesday night. And for the same time period, there's a winter weather advisory out for the eastern Kenai Peninsula, western Prince William Sound, down in toward Resurrection Bay there for heavy rain and snow and gusty strong winds there as well. Satellite imagery showing area of clouds kind of moving slowly northward and spreading to the west. There were some areas of light snow associated with it. Bigger storm down here, actually the center of which is south of Sand Point there, but the front spreading wind and rain up to Kodiak Island. Kodiak State Airport seeing gusts 45 miles an hour and about a half an inch of rain today with that. And rain extending all the way back to the eastern Aleutians and some light precipitation over the southeast coast today. And back to the west, just a lot of showers here over the Aleutians and the Bering Sea, but you can see the clouds with a warm front starting to spread into the far western Aleutians, actually spreading all the way down into Adak and Atka already. And again, this storm kind of tracking off to the east-northeast. On the chart today, there's that low center south of Sand Point. And the frontal system moving just up towards southern Kodiak Island late this afternoon. And again, some light rain spreading into the Panhandle and rain starting to approach the south coast of the Kenai Peninsula. Basically dry with some clearing over south central Alaska back to the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, across the Kuskokwim Valley into Bristol Bay. Areas of light snow hit and miss in the interior. Fairbanks seeing some light snow, picking up about a half an inch or so there, give or take. Gusty winds continue, especially on the western Arctic coast today with gusts anywhere from 25 to 45 miles an hour there. And winds pretty strong, up to 50 miles an hour, western Alaska Peninsula into the eastern Aleutians today, out of the north and northwest there on the back side of that low system. And then you can see the warm front pushing some moisture into the western Aleutians tonight. That'll continue with the low center just coming onto the chart there. 982 millibars, a break here over the Bering Sea in between that system and the one here off to the east, kind of two low centers now. First one falling apart there as it reaches Kodiak Island. The front bringing increasing wind and rain up to the North Gulf Coast tonight. And so look for conditions to deteriorate through the evening and toward the nighttime hours. Warm front rain spread up into the Panhandle and increasing wind and rain for the North Gulf Coast. Not bad over the interior. Winds still breezy along the Arctic coast, but slowly diminishing somewhat. And then for tomorrow, look for the winds to increase here over the central interior. A tightening gradient here, stays pretty windy on the western Arctic coast. Lighter winds off to the east there. And a trough extending up into southern Alaska here, south central, brings heavy wind and rain. High wind warning out, as I mentioned, Wednesday and Wednesday night for the North Gulf Coast. Possible wind gusts to 80 miles an hour. And also increasing winds and rain for the Panhandle. And then a break here. Pretty nice conditions. Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, southeast Bering Sea, Pribilofs, Alaska Peninsula. And this system pushing rain all the way eastward toward Nikolsky late tomorrow afternoon, the low center hanging back. And that'll track off to the east-southeast at a pretty good clip here, crossing the Alaska Peninsula or eastern Aleutians there with the front during the afternoon. So a good shot of wind and rain with that system coming through there. Becoming showery with colder air, snow showers coming down into the Bering Sea here, down to about as far south as the Pribilofs, but staying in the form of rain for the Aleutians. And then this low center, backing it up right in this position, taking off, you can see kind of moves east-northeastward here and then takes a turn to the northwest following this trough axis, comes right across the Kenai Peninsula, right into Cook Inlet, northern Cook Inlet there in the afternoon hours. So heavy wind and rain continue for all the North Gulf Coast, Kenai Peninsula areas, and lighter amounts for the western Kenai Peninsula area up into the Matanuska Valley, then heavier precipitation there along the western Alaska Range with some snow extending up across the Yukon River, gusty winds and snow up here over the northern interior, and then improving conditions there for the southeast coast with much lighter winds Thursday for the especially the southern panhandle with light rain. Lows for tonight, 30s to lower 40s for the panhandle. 20s, lower 30s, south central Alaska, mid-20s for the Copper River Basin. North and west of the Alaska Range, single numbers in teens, a little below zero there, again around Nanutuvik Pass. The low tonight, much like you had this morning, 0 to 5 below. Teens for the north slope and the Arctic coast, 30s out to the west. Highs for tomorrow, 45 to 50 for the southeast coast, mid to upper 30s to lower 40s, south central Alaska. Temperatures rising up to around 30 there for the Copper River Basin, but Middleton Island into the upper 40s, and then 20 central interior, 5 to 15 in the Brooks Range, and then teens and lower 20s for the Arctic coast, followed by lows in the 40s for the southeast coast, lower to mid 30s here, south central Alaska, with some clearing. Homer may drop to 29 degrees, 28 at Kodiak as colder air begins to ride in as that low center pulls west-northwest, where that'll draw this colder air back to the southeast here, Bristol Bay down into the mid-teens for the lows Thursday morning, and upper 20s to lower 30s for the Alaska Peninsula. Teens central interior, right around 0 to 5 above for the Brooks Range, and teens for the Arctic coast. And then highs for Thursday afternoon, mid-30s here, south central Alaska, Kenai Peninsula, lower 30s Copper River Basin, Valdez high about 40 with upper 30s for Kodiak Island, but lower 20s here in Bristol Bay in the colder air. Teens for the Kuskokwim Valley there. Teens in lower 20s, 30s, Pribilofs, lower to mid 40s for the Aleutians, lower 30s St. Lawrence Island. Highs in the 40s there for the southeast coast.